Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Digital Agency Hacker. As you guys know, I like to keep it real and honest. So this was going to be different. This is going to be very, very different because this is the first time, you're about to hear the first time I ever met Bert Oliva. And I am super, super pumped. In fact, we jumped into a Zoom, we got to know each other, got to talk, and then we were going to record a podcast. It was so much fun, the conversation. I was like, bro, let's just keep rolling, and we're going to throw all of this out to the podcast, let everyone hear it, because it was so much fun. Bert Oliva, this guy creates leaders. He helps drive out their potential to hit them, to get them where they want to be. So let's jump right in. I love it, man. This is cool. I've
been doing this over 27 years. I've been doing this for over 27 years all over the world, both in English and Spanish. And now I'm forced to do this stuff online. So we're building. When this video is like a few years old, so we have to do an update. But we were ahead of the game on the social media. In social media before that major transition that everybody's now online. So we're trying to refocus and market on how it is we're going to do this whole thing that we do in live audiences around the world to doing it online.
That's right. Yeah, man. We've actually, for the last year and a half, we just started this company 3 years ago. We've brought in speakers every Friday from like prisoners of war in Iraq to billionaires to, you name it, politicians, ambassadors for the United States, so on and so forth. And same thing with podcasting. We brought people in, right? And it's definitely had to shift. So it's helped us, I think, connect with way more people, but at the same time, that relationship aspect is kind of a little bit hindered, especially like for your stuff.
Yeah, the human connection is what's missing. This is great and wonderful. And yeah, I'm able to do more meetings. Like, for example, when I have to travel out of the country and I have a gig, I'm pretty much stuck depending on the flight and the whole thing. Now I'm able to do 4 or 5 gigs a day, which is great, but the human connection is missing. We just did an event in Colorado about 2 weeks ago. This event is something that we do every year for this group. It's about 500 people. Were only allowed to have 50 people in the room. They had to pay for the same size room and put everybody separate. So it was kind of awkward to engage the entire audience with energy because everybody's separate. But at the end of the day, the human connection was great, and then we were supposed to go to New York right after that, and then everything got canceled again. So
yeah,
it's crazy times, dude.
I'm 100% with you. I spoke at I was 100 people, not the 500, but 100 people last week. I think it was last Thursday, right, Gretel? Thursday. And same thing. Like, you can't hey, tell me what you think, right in the middle of the speech.
At least you had 100 people. I had 50.
But it wouldn't matter because I couldn't see them all. And it was just really everybody's muted. So you can't get that laughter or the sorrow.
No, I'm talking about the Colorado gig I did was actually live. So it was pretty cool. It was our first live gig right back in, and our last gig, because all the gigs we have lined up after that shut down again. So, but no, I've done rooms from over 10,000 people in Vegas all the way to 2 people, 5 people, whatever the case is, Like I said, I've been doing this for over 27 years. It's changed a lot. The industry has shifted a whole lot because nowadays you have a lot of these people, and I'm always honest, right? So you have a lot of people that are going through shit in life and they're not doing really well, but they're life coaches. When I started my career 27 years ago, it was only a handful of speakers, right? You had your Les Brown, your Zig Ziglar, and a handful of speakers. And I was able to get into the market because I was the only Latino speaker within the market back then. So I was able to break through and share the stages with them and become friends with them and so forth. It's been an experience, man.
I'm tuning in from Nicaragua. Where's your heritage from?
I am Cuban born, American made.
Okay. I love it, bro. That's cool.
Nicaragua, you guys are going through a tough time right now, right?
Dude, yeah, it's been rough, bro. It's the news, I think everybody's got to
I'm talking about the storms.
Oh,
the weather.
Yeah. It's been like Managua, like we're in the city and it's not near as bad, but the north, bro, it's they need prayers, they need money, they need food, they need a lot of stuff. And so
and that's not what the media shows. The only reason I know is because one of my closest friends, we joke around, right? Because you tell Nicaraguense in South Florida, where you from? They go, Managua. You go to Cuba and you're like, where are you from? Havana. So I tell people I'm from the Havana, the third floor, right? So at the end of the day, if it wasn't that I knew him, I wouldn't know exactly what's going on. And that's why it's diluted, the media itself. Not talking about negative media, what is it, fake news or whatever. It's just, I was in Colorado. And I had no idea the fires that we're going through. We actually stayed there for an extra couple of days, and we weren't even allowed to go to certain places because it was inflamed. But over here, we had no idea. So it's like, it's just crazy, man.
Yeah. I think last I checked, it was about 80,000 people without, not sleeping in the same house they were 2 days ago, and so
that's crazy.
Yeah, man, it's not, and you got a bad economy here anyway. You got Corona, and the North is farming.
But right? you're originally from Nicaragua, or you're just resided?
I'm from Arkansas, man. So, but my wife is Nicaragua.
How did you end up in Nicaragua?
Long story short, a woman. I mean, really, what it's boiled down to, these Nicaraguan women, they're beautiful, and so married 7 years. 2 days ago, I think. And
congratulations, man.
Yeah, bro. So we went to the same university in Arkansas together. She got a scholarship there, and one thing led to another. We've been here for 8 years, and this is where home is, man. We haven't left, and I love it, man. I love the people. I love the Latin culture. It's good. The food's good. Everything's good. I love it. I haven't been there yet.
They tell me it's a beautiful place.
Oh man, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Now, one question I have now, again, I'm a good old Southern boy from Arkansas, so my education ain't the high. Orator? What the crap is an orator?
A speaker, right? A professional speaker all over the world.
You can see how often I speak, I guess. So, that makes more sense. All right, I just want to. All right, perfect. So, man, this is cool, and you're working with people. I mean, really on like unleashing their capabilities, really is what it is, right? I mean, like,
it's really working on tapping their greatness with a subconscious programming, right? We've been doing subconscious programming for over 27 years. However, because of everything we're going through, we actually created a program or a module. I call them modules, right? That has to do with social media. And people are like, well, you're a social media expert. No, I'm not a social media expert, but I know human behavior. And what works in real life works online. Like I teach people how to really get in front of a camera, whether it's on stage or in front of a camera, how to break the limiting beliefs. A lot of people compare me as the Latin Tony Robbins, but and which is a great compliment, right? Especially when I was in my 20s. But now, being that I'm quite a bit older, I tell people, that's great, but I'm not Tony Robbins. I'm Bert Oliva, and go to one of my events. None of the things that we speak on or we train on is not even a copy of what Tony does, but it's a great compliment, right? Which is part of the reason I have this long beard. Because if you look at my younger pictures, we look a lot alike, right? I'm like the Latin guy. But now with the long beard, I have this whole new look, and it's kind of worked for me.
That's amazing, dude. That's amazing.
Look, one thing about me, man, what you see is what you get. I'm as honest as it can be. I've been in the industry for so long. I know all the BS. I know all the major speakers, all the major players in the industry. I've worked with them. Some I love, some I don't get along with. And it's just part of the game. But it has shifted a lot. And I love what you're doing, because my team did some research, and they usually give me the research when I'm doing one of these podcasts or whatever the case is. And even though you may be a newcomer in the business, you're doing it right. Right? Reaching out to the right people, connecting with the right people. And one day you may have a billionaire on your platform, and another day you may have someone that's getting started. And that's really what it's all about. It's not just showing in social media. Why it's so diluted is because people are sold the fake reality of being wealthy, right? Having a private jet, having a nice car. But is that really what you want? I've been married for over 30 years. No one talks about that. Right? I remember when we first were in the 7-year mark, it was like, oh, that's awesome. 30 years later, we're still together. Right? So that's not wealthy, but my Ferrari or my Lamborghini, that's wealthy if you see a picture next to one of those cars. So it's just so diluted. And one of the things we want to do is eventually bring it all back to the core. What is it you want to do? What's success for you? For JC, not for Bert, not for Tony, not for Les. What's success for JC? Find your purpose, find your dream, follow your dream and your purpose, and you'll always succeed. Stop being sold on what success is supposed to look like.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have to. We gotta start from the beginning here, because we're gonna start tapping into some stuff that I definitely want to chat about. And I love talking about success and happiness, because I think, when I was in Nashville, 23, had about 50 homes. I had a Cessna airplane, custom Harley Davidson, didn't have the Lamborghini, but wasn't really into cars. And
I'm not in a car either. I don't even own a car. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't own a car, because everyone around me has a car, and I just choose which car I want to drive. But but you've been on both sides.
That's right.
So are you happier now in Nicaragua, or living the American dream? Right? Dude, you get what I'm saying?
Dude, it's not even a question, and you're right. And that's, for me, faith, family, health, those are my core things. Right. And I feel like, I was talking to someone in Nicaragua just the other day, and they were saying how they wanted to help people become happier. And I was like, cool, what are you most focused on? And he said, political. He said, right now we have a dictator and we want to have a democracy. I'm like, bro, so you're telling me the people in the US are so much happier than people in Nicaragua? Dude, in fact, even before all this chaos in Nicaragua, even if you say there's a dictator, everybody was happy as a June bug when there wasn't any issues, right? And so this political stuff has nothing to do with happiness, So I think it's really important for us to...
It's gotten to the point that when I started my career, two things you weren't allowed to talk about was politics and religion, right? But now what they've done, I believe in God. I follow Christ. That's my belief. But be careful where you say that, because that can cost you some upsales. Some people will not buy it, and then really we're not really being truthful. We're not being ourselves. Yeah. The industry has shifted. People that get on a platform nowadays, 97% of them are full of crap. And I can say that. There's only the handful of speakers, and I'm not talking about the big names. I'm talking about some people, they don't have a big name, but they have an amazing message. Yeah. But they don't get the limelight because they don't like Lamborghinis. They don't like 20,000 square foot homes. Yeah. That is not wealth, man. Yeah. Having your connection with your higher power, to me, is wealth. Having your beautiful, me being able to travel the world with my children, to me, that's success. Right. Yeah. But that's not selling. You won't get clicks for that, which is why that has to shift. That transition has to happen. We have to go back to the core. What makes you happy? You, JC, Bert, Alexa, whoever it is. That's really where you got to find this. They've destroyed the work-life balance. All the high-end speakers or the big name speakers were like, there's no such thing. Of course there is. Because you work, you have a life and you balance it. For you, just because my balance is not the same doesn't mean I'm not any I'm not any better than you or any less than you. No, it's just find your purpose, find your dream, find your balance, man. And that doesn't sell. And it's sad. But I think there's going to be a major transition with everything the world's going through. Eventually, we need to go back to the basics, and I think that's going to be my second round on this whole motivational speaking circuit and everything. I've had the experience. I have the connections. I've been doing it. You saw the video. That's not a video that you do in 1 year. That's over 27 years of sharing platforms and connecting and working my way up. Yeah. And I think it's time. I think it's time for a major transition to happen and start. One of the things I love, I think you do a leadership program. Mm-hmm. And I saw you guys in the tub and ice tub and everything. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. That's part of breaking through. However, why can't you have 10,000 people show up for that? Oh, because it's not sexy enough. But that's what works. Yeah. The sexy stuff doesn't work. Thank God. I mean, in 2020, we didn't fire one person. We didn't cut one salary. And we're a marketing company. Everybody cut their marketing budgets. And that program right there that you saw, every single new hire goes through what we call Unbreakable is what we call it, right? And it's where we teach how do we handle complexity. And we have 3 tools. We have number 1, our body, our breathing,
and our attention, right? And so how do we, and then the ice is kind of the end of that seminar, getting in the ice for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes. And is your attention focused on the ice and the cold and the pain, or is it focused on something else? And that something else is what is key. And you're honing right into it. What is your commitment? What are you truly committed to in life? And it has to be something noble. It's got to be something great. And more importantly, it has to be something worth fighting for, right? And so like, I always give the same analogy. If I asked you, Bert, would you go work at McDonald's tomorrow? You'd be like, no, I'm not going to go work at McDonald's. But if I said, Bert, your kids are hungry, would you go work at McDonald's? Dude, without a question.
Absolutely.
And so that commitment overcomes any pride, any anxiety, no, we just do it. We get it done, because our commitment, our kids is. And so what can we, at Hite, I believe that we can create 1,000 jobs in Nicaragua that are completely stable, that pay double the market, that provide education, that do all these core things. And for me, I believe that would completely change the country. Like that's what I'm committed to, right? And so that's what drives everything, right? And it's probably, it ties into everything you're doing with Humanology, right? Mind over matter, all these good things of like, how do we win the mental battle? And then how does that drive through all of our physical actions, I guess, right?
Well, I'll give you an example. We have a nonprofit that I think it's about 8 years old, right? And we had opened the nonprofit because my wife and I had spoken that once you get to a certain level of success, it should be your obligation to give back. Mm-hmm. But instead of giving back money, let's use the tools that God gave us, right? And we opened up a nonprofit called Motivational Missionaries, right? And we went around the world helping children, speaking to children. Doesn't matter where you are. What matters is where you're going to go from here. Yeah. You could be great whether you're in Nicaragua and Belize or wherever. Long story short, Belize alone, we spoke to over 50,000 children when that country only has 300,000 people population. When we did it in Belize, we did it in Trinidad, we did it in the Bahamas, we did it in Jamaica. We've been everywhere, Bermuda, not Nicaragua though. We're going to have to talk about that.
We'll make that happen, brother. That ain't even a thing.
So we were speaking to these children. It was wonderful. And then we come to the States, right? Red tape. Couldn't do the events, couldn't film the children, had to do a different angle. It's the only place, and I've been around the world, and some of the worst places in the third world country. I'm talking about real gangsters, not gangsters that watch TV and think they're gangsters like in the States. These kids are really gangsters. And at the end of the day, never did they disrespect me. Never did I feel threatened. In the United States, the first event that we did, number one, they wouldn't do the event with us because it was called Missionaries. Mm-hmm. We needed to call it Motivational Missions. So we had to change the name to be accepted. What was wrong with missionary, right? Crazy, true story. So we do the event, and then at that event, it's the first event out of all these events that we've done for many years that there was a child being arrested on the stage. The police was arresting the child because he was just doing crazy stuff and breaking rules, but I'd never seen that all over the world. And they say that we are a first world country. Man, we need help. We need more help than any of these other countries. But at the end of the day, again, that's neither here or there. And long story short, over 8 years, we've had the company, and we started to get donations and funding maybe a year and a half ago. But the first 7 years, we funded the entire company. And we did it because it was our way of giving back. So now, because this whole pandemic, we had Belize booked again. We had Trinidad. We had a couple of countries ready for us to come in. We're not able to go out there anymore. And so if it wasn't that I learned from my mentors how to invest and make more out of your money so it works for you, I would be out of gas. I went from working 3 weeks out of the month, traveling all over the world speaking, to 0 events. I went from doing the nonprofit organization to 0, So, kind of reinventing ourselves. I think we're in a time right now that we're basically all starting at 0. So you have the same opportunity as a billionaire. The thing is, you have to reinvent yourself. You have to think out of the box. And it's not just a phrase. You have to really start thinking, like what you said about Nicaragua, why not? I believe it's possible. I believe you can do it. I really do. Because when you were talking to me, the passion you had coming out, the how is none of your business. Just knowing what you're going to do is what's important. The how, because that's usually what stops people. Well, how is it going to happen? What, how is it possible? The how is none of your business. Just go out and make it happen, which is what I'm all about. Make it happen, right? Oh, by the way, this thing up here, this is a joke. My birthday just passed. And my wife goes ahead and I forgot about this. I left it up there because this is not a green screen. This is an actual stage. A studio. And so it keeps getting stuck up there. So I said, you had Simon Bolivar, and now you have Bolivar,
there you go,
which is Bert Oliva. And so just in case, it's not that I'm egotistical and ain't to have two Berts all day long,
That's amazing, dude. That's so cool. I definitely want to maybe connect later on because
yeah, for sure.
There's so many things here that getting into the branding and the speaking and all this stuff. We're at a point where
And by the way, we're a lot alike though, because I have a third company, and I only have 3 companies, and they're all really successful. Mm-hmm. The third company. It's called BOA's Studio, Be One with Another, BOA or Bert Oliva Wealth Academy. And BOA Studios, we do video production. We do social media. We do all that stuff. A whole team runs that, right? That's one of the things that's still bringing me in revenue. So it's like I started like you did. I started really doing marketing first. Then I got into speaking. Right, I would go do the campaigns, and because I used to work for Xerox Corporation, and once I finished Xerox, I opened up an ad agency called Altius. And we started doing advertising. But every time I would go to these major companies, because we're in South Florida, I was like the connection between America and Latin America. Right. So I would go to Sony, HBO, all these companies, and I would come up with this. I was really young, and I had all this energy, and I would do the presentations, and they'll be like, "This is really good. Hold on. Let me bring the marketing company." So long story short, my wife was like, "You go to these meetings, yes, you close them, but you're there for 4 or 5 hours, and we're not getting paid." So from that, I ended up doing speaking, and I started applying, and I started speaking in churches first. That's really where I started, because there's a big ass story behind everything, but in churches was where my life shifted, right? And that's when I accepted Christ, and I went down that path, and I wanted to be a preacher, and then I created a company called GetGod.net. Because God is everywhere, even on the internet. And I started going to Benny Hinn and all the big guys and saying, look, you know what? We need a hub. So when you go to a hotel, they all have a Bible, but they don't have if you go to the concierge and you're like, I'm Baptist, I'm Presbyterian, what's the nearest church? They have no idea. So I wanted to create this hub. However, every person I spoke to said, that's a great idea, but let's do it for my denomination. So that's when I got turned off, because it wasn't about really the world and helping and connecting. It was all about that one denomination.
Separate.
So, I've been through a whole, but I see a lot of similarities, right?
Yeah.
Marketing, speaker, leadership, I'm just a little bit older.
Dude, you said you've been married for 30 years, you said? So you got 30 years. Geez, you got married when
But I remember 10, 7 years 11, in.
12? How old are you, bro?
I'm 52 years old as of
really?
Yeah, as of November 10th. I'm 52 years old.
So looking at you and everything, I thought you went to school with Jeff. I didn't know you. I thought you went to school together.
Oh no, Jeff. We had done it was actually a marketing event that they brought me in, and one of the things I'm known for is doing breakthroughs, right? Yeah. Having people eat fire, bend steel with their throat, lie on a bed of nails. It's edutainment. And back in the day, it was like, you ever seen Tony Robbins? I would say, yeah. You ever seen Chris Angel? Yeah. I'm both of them put together. I would actually, and it was edutainment. I would have people have fun, do breakthroughs, which is why I love the ice bath. I think it's great, because when you're entertaining people is when they really learn.
Yeah.
Having a talking head and no entertainment doesn't work. There's a disconnect, right? So the whole thing is, that's where I started my entire career. But when I spoke for FIU years ago, I was already doing it for a few years before that, like maybe 7-8 years. Yeah.
Well, it's so crazy. So I met with Dennis Yu. I don't know if you know Dennis, but he's a big Facebook guru, whatever guy. And met with him at the beginning of end of last year. And by that time, we were about 65 team members. I don't know. We were doing well, and I told him my same commitment. My same goal, which has been true since the beginning. And I exited another, Inc. 500 agency about 3 years ago. We had about 1,500 clients, and give or take 250 employees, right? And so this was round 2 for us. And I gave him this goal, and he said, JC, like, who the crap are you? Like, who are you? Nobody knows who you are. At this time, I didn't have Twitter. I posted 3 times on Instagram. I don't speak. I said no to anything that came my way. I didn't have a podcast, no YouTube, nothing. I just didn't. It's not my style. It's not what I enjoy. I don't really like being in the spotlight. And he was like, straight up, if you don't do this, like if you don't get out there, and he said something very specific. He said, what's more important, perceived authority or actual authority? And see, I grew up with my dad saying actual authority. Like, don't tell people your business, be quiet, don't talk too much, don't do this stuff. Like, it's better to actually be intelligent than for someone to think you're intelligent, And Dennis basically switched it on me, and he's like, dude, if nobody thinks you're smart, nobody's going to take the time to listen. Right. And I was just like,
which is sad, but it's what society has created.
It's what society has created.
We're back to the Ferraris and Lamborghinis and the big mansions.
That's right.
It's not real. Right. Because look at all this knowledge you've acquired. Look at this. Look, you know how many people would love to have a relationship for over 7 years?
Yeah.
They dream about that. Right. With this new TikTok. Yeah. So, at the end of the day, that takes work. It's not easy.
I mean, even in my own family, who's a very religious family, we were talking about this yesterday. My dad's, been married for however many years. My grandparents have been married, obviously, forever. But all my uncles and cousins, I'm the 3rd longest relationship of my whole extended. Like, that's insane. That's crazy. But my uncle,
and that's insane, but that's success. Because when you find your perfect significant other, it takes away a lot of stress and expense, right? Going on a date nowadays, like $50 for just one drink. I'm just exaggerating, but I don't even know because I just know it's crazy. Yeah. Once you have that person with you, that's why my wife and I have stuck together. Because believe it or not, at first she chose to take the back seat, and we ran with it. When we open a nonprofit, it's not my nonprofit; it's her nonprofit.
Yeah.
And then she actually hires me to become the main speaker, but it's her company. Yeah. So now I sit in the back seat. So she helped me get my career to a certain place. And then now I'm 1,000% behind her. Right. Yeah. So that's what you need to find the right person. I tell people, my children, look, you can date and everything, but find that one person who's going to stick with you within your journey. Yeah. And at the end of the day, we're being sold sex and all. Look, let me tell you something. At the end of the day, it's basically all the same. But nothing is like love, right? When you have that love and you truly believe in that person believes in you, that's wealth. Everything else comes after that. Your children will learn by the actions you take, not by you telling them not to do this, right? They see you. And even though you think they're not noticing, as from the age of 5, even before that, subconsciously, they're picking it up. Yeah. Oh, my father was so great. My mom was so awesome. They used to give this little kiss at 5 o'clock in the morning every morning. And you don't make a big deal, but you're catching it. Think about now. How old are you now?
I'm 33.
Yeah, you're still a baby. Yeah. you don't get old till you get to 40. but think about it. Some of the greatest moments in life, when you think about your parents, it's not something that they made it apparent. Yeah. It was picked up on a subconscious level. I remember when my dad used to do this. Obviously the other negative stuff too. Like my mom used to tell me, "Mijo, tú estás loco, you're crazy. Just get a job. You'll be safer that way," because that's what we were sold in America. Get a job, work there for 50 years, and you'll be okay. That wasn't where. I came into the business when everyone started thinking about becoming an entrepreneur. When it was create the shift. So. It was just crazy. Oh, hey, that's awesome, man. So let's do the interview, and we're building a friendship, and then we can stay in touch.
Well, dude, I'm as we're talking here, and this is going to be a part of it if it makes sense. But I want to I'm going to start the podcast from the beginning and just say, hey, this is our conversation. And we'll now I want to just dig into some questions and thoughts and get your ideas. But
you can jump at it, everything, right? Just make sure you got the best side,
Yeah, no, of course. We're gonna make you look.
And
good.
if you want, look, just to make sure, because that's another thing. We've had to update our equipment at a whole different level. Yeah. Because right now, like for example, I can do the lower thirds. I can go ahead, bring in a video. I can do all this stuff. But I've had to learn how to do this. Most people are just so nervous about what's going to happen and losing everything when at the end of the day, now I got stuck. Oh, there you go. By the end of the day, it's about evolving. It's about figuring it out, man. Well, I'm 52 years old. Oh my God, I'm too old for this. No, bring it on, man. Whatever you have, bring it on. Age is just a number. It's what you do. That's when you become old, when you give up on your life. There's so many great things. Look, I truly believe greatness is within every single person that's watching this. Everyone, your wife, you have children?
Oh yeah, we have 1.5.
Yeah, they have greatness. The only thing that holds a person back is themselves. Mm-hmm. They start having that internal dialogue. You're not good enough. You're too Latino. You're too Black. Look, when I got into the industry 27 years ago, it was either Black Americans or Anglo whites. You had your Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar. You had your Les Brown, T.D. Jakes. There was no Bert Oliva. And I said, perfect. I'm going to go down that path. Long story short, you've seen the video. I mean, Les was a personal friend of mine. I was able to spend some time with Jim Rohn and Zig Ziglar. And, it was just an amazing ride because I didn't care about the how. Yeah. I just knew what I wanted to do. And then I made it happen. And I believe in you, man. I know you're going to do that for Nicaragua. And then once you figure out the recipe, you'll be able to take that recipe to other countries.
Mm. That's what it's good. Dude, it becomes, one thing I like about Nicaragua is that it's a small country. It's such a beautiful country. It's a small country. And I feel like it just hasn't been given, a shot because of like the culture and the society here, like even, I'll give you an example. A lot of these third world countries, what I see happening is that what jobs come here? They always talk about new jobs coming to these foreign countries. They're all these outsourcing company. Right. So it's Walmart's customer service. It's Capital One's customer service. Right. And so you have thousands and thousands of people that they're not going into like leadership style positions or working for a company they can like really grow in. They're going into yes, ma'am. No, sir. Like I just need to get rid of you, Bert. I just need to like get him off the phone in so many seconds and make sure that Bert's happy when he gets right. Versus this like, I want to create, I want to innovate, I want to make things happen, I want to solve problems, right? And so for me, I think a huge opportunity in LATAM and third world countries around the world is where is the innovation happening? How do we help drive the innovation in these countries to help them lead to the top, right? Because if we're just doing the customer support for Capital One all day long, what's the growth of that? How do we scale, right? Look at you.
Yeah, I'm listening to you. It's just that this thing is driving me crazy. It's not to work by itself.
You're good. It's perfect. It's perfect.
You're absolutely right. Don't ever allow other people's opinion of what it is you want to do or who you think you are hold you back. Everyone's going to have an opinion. Are they going to judge you? Of course they're going to judge you. Yeah. 50% of your audience is going to love my beard. The other 50% is going to hate it. Right. It doesn't matter. Do you like it? You as a person, are you happy wearing the black shirt? Are you happy with that little character in the back? Yes, because that was a gift given to me and we joked about it. Like, for example, he has a sword. And I said, yes, that's when I was in Cuba chopping down cane, right? But I came to the United States when I was 11 months old. So at the end of the day, again, don't allow other people's opinion to become your reality.
Yeah.
You are great. God created us because everyone is different, but there's greatness within us. So my question to people is, are you going to die with regret? Shoulda, woulda, coulda? Are you going to die with your greatness inside of you? Do you know how many books need to be written and people will die not writing their book because they're comparing themselves to other people? That's one of the biggest downfalls. Sitting on social media and saying, well, I'm not as crazy or I'm not going to curse like Gary Vee. Oh, I'm not like Grant Cardone. I'm not like Les. No. That's when you fail. Be the best you can be and nothing will hold you back. Everything. People talk about the law of attraction. People talk about their universe or whatever. To me, it happens to be God. God will help those that help themselves. Mm-hmm. He's there to help you, but you have to take action. Yeah. Most people don't want to take action. They're waiting for someone to knock on the door and say, JC, we've been waiting for you. We're looking for you all this time. No. That's why the gentleman that told you about Facebook, he was a genius, right? Because at the end of the day, he's right. It's sad because it shouldn't be that way, but he's right. You need to have some sort of presence online. So when people do a background search, which is basically a Google search, You populate. If you don't populate, they don't think you're authentic, you're not real. It's sad, but that's the rating system that we finally fell into. Forget about the future. In the future, they're not going to check your credit. They're going to check your status on social media.
There you go. Yeah. Let me ask you. Okay, so let's dig in there, because tapping into greatness is something you mentioned, right? And I'm for both me as well as my team, right? Like really, like how do we? Where do you see that holding? How do I frame this? What holds us back? What are these core pillars that hold us back from actually reaching their greatness? And then the question's kind of going to...
I'm going to give you a recipe.
There you go.
Which is in my latest book, right? This recipe will transform the way you look at life, right? And this is something you give to your team. So I'm going to go ahead and pop in up here. And I'm going to go ahead and use some of this equipment that we have over here.
I love it.
So it pays itself. I'm here in the little corner. You guys can see me.
Beautiful.
But like, for example, first thing, it takes 45 seconds. It takes 45 seconds to change your state of mind or state of being. So what I tell people, usually in my seminars, we have what we call the victory dance. You play your favorite music first thing in the morning, whatever that music is. The only thing I tell people is when you're changing your state and you're listening to music, what happens on the subconscious level is we fall in love with the music, the beats. Beats put you in a certain state. The lyrics will destroy you. Most music, most songs, English and Spanish, is all about cheating and depression and suicide and all this stuff. But if you download the lyrics and you read them and you are aware of it, it won't affect you subconsciously, because now you're aware. You just like the beat, right? Whether it's reggae, hip hop, whatever the case is. Turn on your beats, turn on tunes. 45 seconds, you will change your state. That I guarantee you. However, the next step is it takes 21 days to change or create a new habit. 21 days includes weekends, right? Most people say, I want to start on Monday. Come Friday, we're done. Your mind doesn't know that. You have to do it consistently for 21 days. The truth is, you're not going to change your entire life in 21 days. You're going to change it in cycles of 21. Think about it. When back in the good old days, when people used to work for corporate in the United States, you had 3 weeks of training. That's 21 days. Women that don't want to have babies and they take these little pills. There's 21 days pills. The rest are sugar pills. We're conditioned on a subconscious level of living cycles of 21, right? So keep that in mind. The next step is it takes 6 months. 6 months to create an addiction. Now, addiction is just the word only has the power that you give it. At the end of the day, you could be addicted to love. You could be addicted to spending time with your children, whatever the case is. So let's go ahead and just give it a positive twist, right? But think about this. If you've ever worked out, you've ever trained, which is part of the reason why a 52-year-old looks so good. You have to work out your mind, your body, and your spirit. But that's a whole different seminar. So basically 6 months. You do it for 6 months, right? You start working out. You miss one day after the 6 months. For some reason, you don't feel good. Something's wrong. So keep this in mind. This is the way, conditioning, the cycle, 45 seconds, 21 days, 6 months. My daughter started dating. When she started dating, I said, 5 months into the relationship, are you sure that you're happy with this person? She goes, why, Dad? I said, because at 6 months, there's going to be a little harder to disconnect because on a subconscious level, you created an addiction. Right? With work, it's the same thing. With your career, with your body, whatever it is, you do it in cycles. 45 seconds, 21 days, 6 months. The next one is 9 years to become institutionalized. Right? Now, I'll give you an example. In the United States, we have 2 terms, 8 years. Why? Because it's been proven that after 9 years, most people that have been in power for over 9 years become dictators because they've conditioned society for over 9 years. Right? If you've been working for a company for over 9 years, you're going to the beach, you're on your way to the beach, you get a phone call on the weekend, your boss is telling you, when you have that proposal ready for me, you're like, yes, sir, I'll have it ready first thing in the morning. Long story short, subconsciously, you were on that phone without realizing you're in front of the building in the parking spot because you are conditioned to do certain things at certain moments. How do you create the shift? It all starts with 45 seconds. At the end of the day, 2020 had an interview years ago where the Vatican was looking for nuns. And then back then at the time, the Vatican had an issue finding nuns that were virgins. So they decided we're going to head and bring some women that have had difficult issues or relationships within their lives, and we're going to go ahead and give them an opportunity to become a nun. Long story short, they had this woman that she had a difficult time. She wanted to become a nun more than anything in the world. She looked beautiful when she was dressed. They took her to the convent. When they went to the convent, the cameras were not allowed into the convent. And she wasn't allowed to get out. Guess for how many years? 9 years. You are institutionalized within cycles of 9 years. So that's why when people have been married for 9 years, which you're getting close to that, which is a good thing. But, I've been institutionalized several 9 years, right? So at the end of the day, what happens is the detachment of the person, whether you're in an abusive relationship or abusive boss or whatever the case is, you're so conditioned on a subconscious level that for you to disconnect is almost impossible unless you do this recipe. Everything starts with one 45-second shift. And what I tell people, try it for the next for the next 21 days. Wake up in the morning, and I want you to do this, JC. Wake up in the morning, put on your favorite tunes, wiggle a little bit, dance, smile at the mirror, look at that awesome guy. Today is going to be a good day. And I'll tell you, by day 22, you have created a massive shift in your life. Not a major transformation, but a shift. With many shifts in your life, that's where the transformation comes in. So I just wanted to share
home, brother, because I every day I wake up at 4:30, I drink my drink, I listen to Imagine Dragons because I love their beat, all right? And I go to the gym at 5:00. And it's the same thing. If I don't go to the gym.
Remember, now you do it being aware. See, because that's where success comes in. You already doing it, but you didn't have the recipe. Yeah. Which is in my latest book, by the way. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Think red, rational. In fact, let me pop it up here so you can see it. So basically what happens is you already doing it, but being aware, here, I'll pop it up. Being aware is really what's important. And most people are not aware. They're not aware because, by the way, don't think the Kool-Aid. I think red, rational, educated decisions. Because we've all been brainwashed, right? So within that recipe is in that book. The entire book is a quick read, and it breaks up different types of recipes like that are actual techniques that you can use immediately to transform your life. So, that's a little plug, a little commercial there. But anyways, but you see, you were already doing it. Now you're aware. Now by being aware, now you're like, oh, wait a minute. Now I'm going to give it even more power. I'm going to tap into my greatness. Now, when I turn on the tunes in the morning, you're going to even be more motivated because you know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. A lot of times success comes from not knowing that you're doing certain things. So then when things fail, you don't have a recipe. Life is like cooking. It's full of recipes. Find out what recipe is good for you and make sure you journal it. So when tough times come around, because we're all going to have tough times, even if you're not having a tough time today, you might have one next week or next year or within a few hours. That's what life is all about. Situations and circumstances are the things that build our character to get us ready for what's about to happen. Right. So those are the things. So just why, so I'm glad that it hit home because you were already doing it. Now you're aware. So now you give it more power.
Then you get almost in this, not routine, but once you start building those habits and you see the longevity of them of like, okay, whenever I graduated high school, I was 140 pounds, right? And then this over time, okay, now how can I create the next habit? Is the next habit quicker or is it still 21 days?
It's just 21 days because you got to get used to it, the pain, the pleasure, the whole thing. Even when you're looking at yourself at the gym, notice after 21 days, there's a shift. You're enjoying it a little more, but the transformation doesn't happen until you go through 3 cycles. It takes about 3 months to really see a difference in your body. So people can notice. You notice it, but people don't notice right away. And that's what everything happens. So you have to do cycles. I mean, for you to have a successful relationship for over 7 years, it takes work. It takes work. Success doesn't happen overnight. It happens over time. You have to put in the time. You have to work it. I mean, I'm telling you, and this thing, what we're doing right here, it's sad that it doesn't sell as much as me right now having a fancy dancy car or showing you videos of my beautiful homes around the world. And I'm not about that. I'm not about that because I learned to do the things. I'm living the life that I deserve and dreamt of my entire life by the actions that I took and I continue to take. Learning this new technology here, we have over $10,000 in a little studio, even though this is just a partial studio compared to our big studio. And every day I'm learning, oh my God, I can do this. I can put the title bar. I can do, why not? Most people are like, no. And you'd be surprised. You happen to have a team. Do you know how many people I speak to that says my team is going to log me in and it's just a one-man operation? Why fake it till you make it? That does not exist. Be you. People want to see the struggle. They want to see, as much as you're not going to get the views now because you're struggling, when you finally make it, there's a backstory. Everyone loves a good backstory, right?
I love it.
But most people don't want to document their backstory. They want to fake it, rent a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or whatever the case is to show something that they're not about just so they can get the views. Yeah. Look, man, the views are eventually, people are getting smart. So it's just eventually going to go back to the basics, the things that you've done to succeed, the things that I'm doing and continue to do. It's the same thing. And that's really what's important to me,
I freaking love it. Dude, I was curious your thoughts on this. So I was on with the performance coach of the New York Yankees a couple of weeks ago. And he said something that kind of blew my mind. He said, "What JC?" And he was the performance coach, I think, for 12 years of the Yankees. So ring, got it all, right? Worked with some of the greatest athletes. And now he's a business coach. So just a few years ago, he went off to be a business coach. And he said, "JC, what do you think's harder, to coach the best baseball players in the world or CEOs? What do you think's more difficult, right? To get crap, I can't even think of any of the Yankees players right now. I'm not a Yankees fan, but or the CEOs." And of course, I was thinking the Yankees said no. You see, Derek Jeter, for one, that he coached. Derek Jeter is the best of the best of the best. But for the last 30 years, since Derek Jeter was 10 or even 4, he's learned how to listen to other people, learned how to be coached. He's okay with being criticized. He's okay with people saying, you need to change your diet. You need to shift this. You need to run. But as CEOs, a lot of times we're just really stuck in our way. So you're helping people achieve greatness. Hearing that, do you resonate with that a little bit? Like, how is it working?
No, I do. I truly believe that a good coach has coaches, right? Tiger Woods, for example. Tiger Woods, when he was at his peak, he had 3 coaches. That's why he was the greatest, right? So people that are not coachable shouldn't be coaching. I have coaches right now. Even at my level, I have coaches. I have mentors. I have people I look up to and spend time with to keep learning. The day you think you've learned everything, it's the day you've lost everything. Tony Robbins talks about CANI, constant never-ending improvement. Same thing. I mean, nothing that I say, Tony or Les or anyone says is going to change. Is how you deliver your message. But the message is the same. You have to put in the work to be great. You can be good, but you will never be great unless you put in the work.
This has been awesome, man. I appreciate your time. Let me ask you, Bert, people, I know you have the book. Where do you buy the book, first off? Where's the best place to buy it?
ithinkred.com.
ithinkgreat.com. All right. No, don't go to Amazon.
You can go to ithinkred.com. Here, I'll pop it up again for you. www.ithinkred.com, or just, because people, the reason we spelled the Kool-Aid incorrect was because we didn't want to get sued, right? But it's Kool-Aid, because everything is possible, man. And you'd be surprised how they grab onto certain things. But I wrote this book because I wanted a book that was a quick read, and it was full of tools and techniques, not just fluff and motivation. We even talk about the forbidden topic, which is finances, and how to, in fact, you should read that topic because I give techniques like the splurge account. Right. And I'll share a little bit of it, but it's deeper in the book. Like, for example, for your children, start conditioning them how to manage money. So my children, of a young age, we opened up what's called the splurge account. My wife and I started it like this. So when we first started was I had my checking account, my savings account, and then my splurge account. Splurge account was money that 10% that people give to nonprofit or to Christ or whatever they prefer. You should create a 10% for you too. So 10% I would put into the splurge account. So let's say I wanted to buy the latest and greatest Apple PC. I would go look at the store. The Apple PC hypothetically was $1,000. I would look at my splurge account and I would say, well, I don't have it yet. I may have it in my checking. I may have it in my savings, but I haven't earned it unless it's in that splurge account. So now what happens, a year goes by, you now have $3,000 in the splurge account because you've been hustling, right?
Yep.
Next thing you know, you go look at the computer's on sale for $700. Yep. But now you look at it differently. Did I really need it? Or did I just want it? So it starts giving you an idea of what your self-worth is. Do you really deserve that computer? No, you haven't earned it. And that's why most people financially are hurt, because they don't have a splurge account. They splurge on all their accounts. Yeah. It's like, buy now, pay never with credit cards, right? They buy and then they don't worry about the, no, you want to be successful. You got to work on your finances. So the book is full of techniques like that. Very simplistic, things that you can apply immediately and start seeing a change or a transformation in your life.
Freaking love it, man. ithinkred.com. ithinkred.com. And where's the best place for people to follow you on social media?
Anywhere. All you have to do is look up Bert, B-E-R-T, Oliva, O-L-I-V-A on your preferred social media, and you will find me. Now, the thing is, my preferred social media currently happens to be Instagram. But we're on all of them, right? So that's when we talk about social media training, which we can come back and talk a little bit about what people need to do on social media. We let people know that it's important to be on social media, but on all social media. But let me see, it's doing it again. Let me see if I can remove this. All right. So your preferred social media is really what's important, because at the end of the day, you may have one, but JC may like LinkedIn. And if I'm not there, I'm missing out on the opportunity. That's right. What you want to do is be on all of them, but choose one so you can be great. Because if you try to work all of them, then you'll never be able to focus. And unless you have a team like you do and I do, that's different. But for most people that are getting started or just want to get their name out there, choose one social media. So if you direct message me on Instagram, chances are my team will get back to you. But if 9 out of 10 times I'm the one going in there and saying hello to people, like we did this morning, that was me, that wasn't my team. But if you reach out to me on other social media, I'll make sure that I usually get the information and we'll connect. I'm not hard to be found.
I love it.
Before I leave, I like to leave everybody with a message.
Yep.
I truly believe you have greatness inside of you. And the only reason you're not living the life that you desire and deserve is because of the actions you're taking every day. So I want you to live your purpose. I want you to tap into your greatness. I want you to leave a legacy. You're here to make a difference in this world. So don't hold yourself back. I want you to live life. And don't let life live to you. My name is Bert Oliva. Cuban born, American made. Keep making it happen.
Freaking love it, bro. Awesome. Dude, I hope you have a blessed day, bro. And I love this stuff. It's awesome. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Whenever you want, just reach out to me. You went from just being a stranger to a category of people that I'd like to connect with and spend some time with. So just reach out to me, man. What you see is what you get.
I definitely will. I'll hit you up on Instagram and we'll try to connect sometime. And then when you get ready to come to Nicaragua, you just tell me. We'll set up everything.
Well, as soon as this is over, what we'll do is I'll have my wife, and her nonprofit tell you what we need to do, because what we need is a liaison in every country. Yep. And then she has a whole system. I would love to speak to the children of Nicaragua, and give them some hope and give them some techniques. We also talk about the prevention of human trafficking, giving them the signs so they don't fall into it. Everyone is talking about human trafficking. No, we do it different. We teach it. We educate the students to know what's good and what's bad. And it's part of the edutainment. They eat, some of them eat fire, some of them walk on glass. So they go through the experience. It's kind of cool. They never forget. Years later, they're still connecting with me on social media, and you see a transformation in their life, and it's great. It's beautiful. So you keep doing what you're doing. Tell your wife I say hello. I'm eventually going to meet her, and just keep doing what you're doing, man. I'm telling you, later on in life, you won't regret it. Your children will be happy as hell that you did. And even though they're going to go through a tough time, because there's a time there where they kind of want to be their own expert. But at the end of the day, look, there was a quote. I'll leave you with this. There was a quote. An email that I got years ago, like in 1996. People come into your life for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. It is what it is, but don't judge and put everybody in that lifetime category. Hopefully for us, this is a lifetime. Like with Jeff and I have become close friends. He was just a volunteer at one of my events. But at the end of the day, just do it Don't second guess yourself. It's not going to be easy. Life is about challenges and how you overcome them. But you'll be able to, at 52 years old, go back and say, you know what, I'm happy. Because your children, like, for example, they'll say at 12, my dad and mom were geniuses. They're awesome. At like 15, they're kind of smart. I see them making mistakes. At 18, they're like, they're not that bright. By the time they're 24, they're kind of dumb. They make stupid mistakes. Yeah. By the time they're 28, they look back and they go, my parents were geniuses all along. So they're going to go to a transition, but they always come back around if you planted the right seeds.
My kids are young, or my kid is young, and I got one on the way. But then I have a 24-year-old sister, a 21-year-old sister, and a 18-year-old sister. And so I'm familiar with those categories very, very well. But it's funny. All of them are academics. So like one's in law school at Vanderbilt, the other's nursing, the other one just made like a 35 on her ACT, whatever. I had like a 2.0 GPA. Like I was the one that my dad was like, okay, this one's going to fail. We're going to work on the next three, so on, with love, obviously. I'll never forget.
Yeah, but you're an entrepreneur. You are true entrepreneurs. I truly believe they're born. They're not made.
Man, I mean, my junior year, my dad literally set me aside. And he said, look, JC, like, your mom and I, we work hard to pay for your college. I mean, hard. You don't, and you don't care. You obviously don't care. And so you either have a choice. You can go work in a manufacturer, you can go work, or you can figure out a way to pay for your own college, type of thing. And, which is why I have student debt today. But it was it was one of the best things, because he was like, dude, my dad didn't go to college. My dad worked in a manufacturer and now leads a huge, big company. And
that's awesome.
He
did a great job.
It's interesting.
Considering that all your siblings are doing really well, he did an amazing job. And that's what it's all about, man. Yeah. That man and that woman can leave this life and be happy and proud of what they've done. And that's really, to me, they're the wealthiest people that I know right now at this precise moment. It's not money, man. I've had a ton of money. I live an amazing life. I don't have to work for the rest of my life. And I don't say that to impress you or, anyone who's watching, but to impress upon you that if this immigrant that came to the United States at 11 months old without a grandparent, no brothers, no sister, no father, just my mother, has been able to live what they call the American dream, then what's holding you back? Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's not where you came from, is where you end up that really matters. And I'm really happy I'm happy for you, man. And I'm proud of what you're doing. I'm glad we've connected, and looking forward to a lifetime of a relationship.
I love it, brother. I'll definitely reach out, and I look forward to meeting you in person. All right.
Yeah, me too, man. Talk to you soon.
Have an awesome day. All right. See you.
You too, brother. All right, man.